ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਭਾਈ। ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਬਿਨ ਬੂਢ ਤੇ ਅਧਕਾਈ। ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਰਾਮ ਸਿਮਰ ਭਾਈ। ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਬਿਨ ਬੂਢ ਤੇ ਅਧਕਾਈ। ਰਹਾਉ ਬਨਿਤਾ ਸੁਤ ਦੇਹ ਗ੍ਰਹਿ ਸੰਪਤ ਸੁਖਦਾਈ। ਇਨ ਮੈਂ ਕਛ ਨਾਹੇ ਤੇਰੋ ਕਾਲ ਅਵਧ ਕਾਈ। ਅਜਾਮਲ ਗੱਜ ਗਨਿਕਾ ਪਤਿਤ ਕਰਮ ਕੀਨੇ। ਤੇਉ ਉੱਤਰ ਪਾਰ ਪਰੇ ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਲੀਨੇ। ਸੂਕਰ ਕੂਕਰ ਜੋਨ ਭ੍ਰਮੈ ਤਉ ਲਾਜ ਨਾ ਆਈ। ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਛਾੜ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਕਾਹੇ ਬਿਕ ਖਾਈ। ਤਜ ਭਰਮ ਕਰਮ ਬਿਦ ਨਿਖੇਦ ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਲੇਹੀ। ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਨ ਕਬੀਰ ਰਾਮ ਕਰ ਸਨੇਹੀ। ਤਜ ਭਰਮ ਕਰਮ ਬਿਦ ਨਿਖੇਦ ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਲੇਹੀ। ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਨ ਕਬੀਰ ਰਾਮ ਕਰ ਸਨੇਹੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So Sangat Ji, today's Pawan Pitra Hukamnama Sahib from Sri Sachkhand Harmandir Sahib is on Ang 692 by Bhagat Kabir Ji. Bhagat Kabir Ji saying to us today, Raam Simar. Simar, Simar means to remember. Remembering Vaheguru Ji is an avastha, the state of mind. When that remembrance of that Vaheguru Ji goes deep inside of us. And they're saying, Raam Simar, remember that one, remember Raam. Raam is another name for God. Raam is that one that is immersed into everything, into the whole entire creation. That one that is everywhere, that one that is omnipresent. Raam Simar. Then they say, Raam Simar. They say it the second time. Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, within your mind, have that remembrance of Vaheguru Ji. Then they say Raam Simar. They say again, within your speech have the remembrance of Vaheguru Ji. Then they say again Raam Simar Bhai. Bhai. Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, oh my Sat Sangat Swaroop friends, my brothers. Over here, they're referring to those Bhai. When they're saying Bhai here, they mean brothers in that way, those that are on this path, those that want to have union, want to meet Vaheguru Ji. Then they say again, Raam Simar. Can they then bring Vaheguru Ji into every part of you? Everything that you do in life, can they don't have Vaheguru Ji outside of that? Bhagat Kabir Ji, they speak and they tell us of that time. When that time, Bhagat Kabir Ji tell us about this in their slok. Bhagat Kabir Ji says, when that time came, when Bhagat Lochan Ji once decided that, you know what, it'd be great to go and get darshan of that beautiful Bhagat of Vaheguru Ji, that devotee of Vaheguru Ji, Bhagat Namdev Ji. So Bhagat Lochan Ji, they've not met Bhagat Namdev Ji, they've only heard about their devotion. How Bhagat Namdev Ji completely devoted themselves to Vaheguru Ji, to God. He heard these stories about how when Bhagat Kabir Ji's father had left their son Bhagat Namdev Ji with the duty to go and feed and give the milk to the Takhur, to the idol. For them, for his father, it was a ritual, it was idol worship. What we've got to remember is Satguru Ji, our Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Pacha Ji, they talk to us about that empty practice of idol worshipping. But we've got to remember in the same breath that yes, worshipping an idol becomes empty at that time for you when it's just an empty ritual. But for Bhagat Namdev Ji, look what it became for them. When we look at Bani of Bhagat Namdev Ji, when they say Doodh piyo Gobinde Rai, they're saying they speak into the Takhur. Bhagat Tarlochan Ji had heard these stories of Bhagat Namdev Ji, how that Doodh piyo Gobinde Rai, Doodh piyo mero man pati aaye. So they saying that Doodh piyo Gobinde Rai, and here the father was going to go out for some work. So what happened was the father said, Kende Namdev Ji to their son, they said, son, I've got to go away now for a few days. He said, but he goes, I'm going to give you a job that you've got to carry out. He said that every morning at this time, he said, I wash the murti, the idol, and he says, then I give it some milk as well. He said, I give it in this particular garvi, and you've got to do all this. And Bhagat Namdev Ji, this is what a Bhagat is. A Bhagat is somebody with a pure, innocent heart that has no trickeries and clevernesses of their own. Bhagat Namdev Ji, all they heard is that I then feed the Takhur Ji. I feed Takhur Ji, meaning Vaheguru Ji. This is what they're hearing. Bhagat Namdev Ji saying, I give Vaheguru Ji this milk. Bhagat Namdev Ji says, I can do that, no problem. So Bhagat Namdev Ji, their father leaves, and the next morning Bhagat Namdev Ji, and they get everything ready. Kende doodh katore gadve pani. Bhagat Namdev Ji kehn lage, kende doodh katore gadve pani. So this says, I take the milk, and I put it in the katora, and I put it in that special pot that my father has kept aside for the Takhur Seva, Takhur Puja. Kende gadve, in the gadva, kende pani. Kende then I actually bring that from where kende kapp lagaye name dohe ani. Kehn lage kende kapp lagaye name dohe ani. So Sangat Ji, if you're actually watching and following this at home, and if you look at the translations, that they've mixed up some of the translations here. So in the last, the translation came up with the last Mangati. Over here it's saying kapal gaye. Gaye means ga, means cow. But they're speaking about the cow in the previous Pangati. So it seems like there's been some sort of mix up in the way the translations are coming up. They're not matching up to the Pangatiyan. So just pre-warn you there. That's why it threw me a little bit first. Kende kapal gaye. Gaye is the cow. Kapal means a brown cow. Kende kapal gaye name dohe ani. Kende Bhagat Namdev Ji, they went and milked that cow first, so fresh milk. Then they put it into the gadvi. The fair can lage. Then they brought it forward and put it before the Takhur, put it before the idol. But for Bhagat Namdev Ji, he wasn't carrying out a empty ritual. This is the difference. For one person, in their mind, that I've got to go and do my part now. I've got to go and read Gurbani now. I've got to go and do Japanam now. So for somebody, it's a ritual because they've been told to do it. They've got to go and do it. But then for somebody else, they are saying it's not a ritual. It's not even, for them, it's like, I'm going to go and speak to Guru Nanak Dev Ji now through Japji Sahib. I'm going to go and embrace the experience of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pat Ji through Jap Sahib that they had with the Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. How lucky am I that I'm going to get to say those very same words that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pat Ji said with their tongue. How lucky am I that same vibration that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pat Ji created within their own self through these words, divine words, I've got the ability now today to sit and create those same vibrations within myself that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pat Ji had themselves. So for us, it's actually opening our heart, having an experience. For us, it's not just, I've been told I've got to just recite Vaheguru for an hour every morning. But no, for them, it's like that I'm going to take this Naam, that same Naam that was vibrated on by Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji. That was the same naam that was used by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. From them it's come. And then this Vaheguru mantra, this is that Vaheguru mantra that is going to connect me to Vaheguru Ji. Keeping that prem bhavna. Bhagat Namdev Ji is in that mode. The word rituals not even in their mind. So for them, they've gone forward to the Takhur and they've said, Doodh piyo, Gobinde Rai. They're saying, oh, Gobinde Rai. Gobind means Vaheguru Ji, Rai means king. They're saying, oh, Vaheguru Ji, oh, kingly Vaheguru Ji, can they drink the milk? So little does Bhagat Namdev Ji know that his father was just doing an actual ritual, in the sense he took this milk, not within his mind. It wasn't that Thakur Ji actually takes and accepts the milk in any form of way. To him, it's just a ritual that he's practicing. But Bhagat Namdev Ji sat in front of the idol and said, Doodh piyo, drink up. What's happening? Go binde rai. And then what happened was, since if you don't drink this milk, kende doodh piyo, mero man pati aaye. Kende Thakur Ji, come on, drink this milk. Thinking for him, he thought that for father, every day that the murti takes form, an actual form, and Vaheguru Ji comes and drinks the milk. He thought that's actually how father does it every day. But he's saying, what's happening? Whoa, what's the delay? How comes he's not drinking up today? Am I doing something wrong? Did I not wash the dishes properly? Have I upset the cow? And then Vaheguru knows now. So he's thinking all these things. He says, I've messed up. And he goes, come on, doodh piyo, drink up. He goes, mero man pati aaye, it'll please my mind if you used to drink this milk, because otherwise I'm scared that nahi ta kar ko baap risaye. He says, otherwise when dad comes back home, he's going to be so annoyed and angry with me that I didn't give the milk to you, and you're obviously upset and angry with me that you're not coming to drink the milk. Sangat Ji, and then kende soin katori amrit pari, kende the katori that Bhagat Namdev Ji had brought forward, kende was a golden cup, and then they said kende they filled it with this beautiful, here amrit means milk, kende, and they're referring to the milk as amrit, filled it with milk, kende soin katori amrit pari le name har aage tari. Bhagat Namdev Ji had put it forward, and then you know what happened at that time? As Bhagat Namdev Ji le name har aage tari, at this moment Bhagat Namdev Ji is so distraught, and from inside he's thinking, I've messed up. And then Vaheguru Ji is looking at the love of his Bhagat, and then Vaheguru Ji say, and then Bhagat Namdev Ji tells us later on, kende ek Bhagat mere hirday basa. Bhagat Namdev Ji is telling us exactly what Vaheguru Ji then was thinking at that time. That formless is now Bhagat Namdev Ji sharing with us, kende ek Bhagat, that Vaheguru Ji saying that this one Bhagat mere hirday base has now come and sat inside of my heart. Kende, then kende ek Bhagat mere hirday base, again the translations are not matching up. Kende then kende name dekh narayan hasay. Kende, and Vaheguru Ji was looking at me and laughing at me, because obviously that everyone else just takes it forward and thinks, great, that's it, I've done my job. Kende naame dekh narayana hase, kende doodh piyaye Bhagat kar gaya, naame har ka darshan paya. If you look at the last pankti first, naame har ka darshan paya, kende Vaheguru Ji came, gave darshan to Bhagat Namdev Ji, kende then doodh piyaye, and then Vaheguru Ji took a form, whatever form that was, and then Bhagat Namdev Ji came a sargun sroop Bhagat here, meaning that Bhagat Namdev Ji journey started from innocence and then serving an actual form, kende doodh piyaye. So when somebody has that type of devotion inside Sangat Ji, then it's not an idol worship. Because then Guru Sahib Ji would not have allowed this Bani within Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Sangat Ji, for somebody, Baba Nand Singh Ji kende hunde san, Baba Nand Singh Ji would say, kende jede kende ne kende, oh vi log ne kende, there's those people as well, that all they can see here is kende ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਦਿਸਦੀ ਆ. They can see ink here. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਦਿਸਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ they can see paper when they looking at Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pacha Ji. ਬਾਬਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ for those that it's paper ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ for those that it's ink ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਰ ਬਾਬਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but those eyes that are filled with love for Guru Nanak ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਸਦੀ they don't see ink but in each word of Guru Granth Sahib Ji ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ what do they see the eyes of Guru Nanak ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਖਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇਤਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ for them ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਕਾਗਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਗ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ they can actually see the limbs of Guru Nanak Dev Ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਤੇ ਨੇ so even for somebody that it could become that type of empty practice and ritual with Guru Granth Sahib Ji ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ as well where they just emptily matha taking to Guru Granth Sahib Ji and I'm not saying that anyone to stop doing that karke ek vi bahut vadda punya that is such a fortunate a great deed to actually carry out to be able to put your head before Guru Granth Sahib Ji but then there's those lovers Sangat Ji that have found true love inside of their heart for their Guru that true love is that from each word of Guru's Bani they can see for them it's the eyes of Guru Nanak looking back at them for them for it's not a kagad, it's not paper, it's actually they getting to feel and touch the limb of Guru Nanak Sache Paatshah Ji. Kende doodh piyaye, but then kende Vaheguru Ji drank that milk, kende Bhagat kar gaya, Bhagat Namdev Ji returned back home. This is love, Sangat Ji, that from that Pola Pan Bhagat Kabir Ji say to us, kende Pole Pae Mile Raguraya, kende only those that have got that innocence within their heart, kende Pole Pae Mile Raghu Raya ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤ ਕਬੀਰ ਜੀ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ they if you look at the first ਪੰਕਤੀ they saying ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਹੋ ਕਬੀਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਹੋ ਕਬੀਰ ਭਗਤ ਕਰ ਪਾਇਆ only through that devotion can you have union with Vaheguru Ji ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that person that has got that devotion inside ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ there's two things that you need is complete commitment and you got to be devoted got to be besotted and you don't see anything else then pole pae and you've got to have that innocence mile raguraya and they will get to actually meet Vaheguru Ji then so Sangat Ji when we actually look at this there was that time when Bhagat Ji is talking about sometimes when we look at somebody and we think that about their devotion Bhagat Kabir Ji tells us about that time when Bhagat Talochan Ji went to visit Bhagat Namdev Ji and he's heard this story that we've just gone through. So for him, he's got an image in his mind about Bhagat Namdev Ji, that Bhagat Namdev Ji is probably just sitting there, just completely just besotted and with a mala, dressed in a certain way. But little does he know when Bhagat Talochan Ji came and when he did darshan, what he actually saw, that was Bhagat Namdev Ji was busy in his work. Bhagat Namdev Ji used to be a printer, so they would print things onto clothes, onto material, and then to put patterns onto there. And when Bhagat Talochan Ji turned up and in his mind, and he must have had that little nervousness that he's going to meet such a great Bhagat and he's going to go inside and he's going to be seated in some sort of place, so he would have had a vashai there, he would have had a sheet placed down and where he's got flowers around him and we're going to go down and then walk up to him to do matha tek. When Bhagat Talochan Ji walks into the house, he's looking for this Bhagat and he's like, oh wow, where's Bhagat Talochan Ji gone? But what does he find? He finds that Bhagat Namdev Ji is busy in his work. He's there printing all this, doing all this printing work onto this material. And Bhagat Talochan Ji says, Kende, what's happened to you, Namdev? I heard that you was a great Bhagat and you're all here, all engrossed in this work. Are you stuck in Maya? Bhagat Namdev Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, but Bhagat Talochan Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, Kende, you're stuck in all this work. What's happened to you? Bhagat Namdev Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ, Kende that don't get worried. Kende because you know, kende haath paun kar kaam sab kende cheet niranjan naal. Kende that look, what you're looking at is kende that what my hands and feet are doing. Kende haath pao kar kaam sab. Kende these hands and feet do all the work that needs doing. Kende but cheet niranjan naal. Kende but my chit, kende but my consciousness remains always constantly focused in Vaheguru Ji's remembrance. Just like we're looking at today's Hukamnama Sahib. Raam simar, Raam simar, Raam simar. Bhai, can they remember God? Can they have that God completely immersed within your mind? And looking at going back to the other Pankti, what Bhagat Lochan Ji and Bhagat Namdev Ji is saying, can they haath pao kar kaam sab cheet niranjan naal? Because it's not about, sometimes we just look at somebody's body and what it means here now. It's when we look at the deeper meanings of this, why 3 times Bhagat Kabir Ji has said this. First, the question was asked exactly as I went through with the Sangat. Kande Nama Maya Mohya Kahat Lochan Meet, the friend of Bhagat Namdev Ji, he came. Kande Nama Maya, what's happened to you? Kande, you've been enticed by this Maya as well. You getting engrossed in this work. Kande Kahe cheap ho chaila. Kande, what are you doing? Kande, all this printing on this clothes. Kande Kahe cheap ho chaila. Raam na lab ho cheet. Kande, you've not there attuned yourself. Kande to Vaheguru Ji. Bhagat Namdev Ji se kende Nama kahe lochana. Kende listen Bhagat Lochan Ji, don't you worry. Kende Nama kahe lochana. Kende mukte Raam smal. Kende little do you know that within my mukh, upon my tongue, I've got the name of God inside. That inside has gone deep inside of me. With every breath is Raam, 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 Raam. And Sangat Ji, and when the name of God goes deep inside of you, then once Vaheguru Ji has taken over your mind, then Vaheguru Ji will take over your tongue as well. Then everything you speak, remember the second Raam, Raam simar, then everything you speak will be the truth. Everything you speak will be sweet. Everything that you speak will actually be words that are there as par upakar, to help others. That's what it means 3 times. Raam simar, Raam simar, Raam simar bhai. Kahan lage kende fe. Then Bhagat Namdev Ji said, kende haath pao kar kaam sab cheet niranjan naal. Because my chit is with Vaheguru Ji, then everything I do with my hands and feet will be the actions of Vaheguru Ji. Meaning that whatever I do, these clothes that I'm printing on, I will make sure that I'll do the best that I can. I will never rip anyone off. I will never actually bring cheap material just to fool somebody else and then charge them the full price of pretending that it's some sort of the other material that they were expecting. So there's no court in there, there's no falsehood in there, that each action that done with the hand as well is coming from Vaheguru Ji, because Vaheguru Ji is in your mind. So then saying and actually thinking about doing the best that they can, printing, using the best prints that they can, and thinking about that it's actually these clothes are going to go onto the body of another, but not looking at it as the body of another, but saying that this is for Vaheguru Ji. Everything is for Vaheguru Ji. Not looking at that it's just going to go towards another person. This is going to be worn by Vaheguru Ji, because they see only but Vaheguru Ji. Just like that time Bhagat Namdev Ji, when they were making food, when they're making prashada for Takhur Ji, for the idol again, but for them they're making it for Vaheguru Ji. But when Bhagat Namdev Ji's avastha started to change, when his state of mind started to change, such an innocent Bhagat, when we think about this Bhagat, I think about that type of Bhagat that must have just been in awe of looking at a tree and just hugging even a tree. Yes, the tree hugger. And Sangat Ji, have actually heard that from a Mahapurkh, that Bhagat Namdev Ji would do things like that. He was just so in love with everything. Having true love in your heart. True love in your heart doesn't mean that I'm there thinking, Sangat Ji, that I often hear people saying all I want is a bit of love. We don't take love from anyone else. We become love, and then we love everything. We love that tree. And just like Bhagat Namdev Ji was making that prashada, food for Takhur Ji, and a dog came and ran in and picked up a piece of prashada, picked up a roti, and everybody else is there, and all the Brahmins that are sitting there, the high caste that are sitting there and saying that you cannot take this now to Thakur Ji, it's all become jutta, he's impurified it. Bhagat Namdev Ji heard none of this. Bhagat Namdev Ji, he got the makhan. The makhan is butter, is unsweetened butter in its pure form. Bhagat Namdev Ji picked up the butter in his hand and he went running after the dog. And people are thinking, what's he going to do? Is he going to throw the makhan at the dog? What's he going to do? Yes, go on. He should be running after him with a stick. Sote maar. Unno ke sara kuch unne nasht kar data. He's made everything impure. Bhagat Namdev Ji kehne lage, kende Raam, Raam, Raam. Bhagat Namdev Ji is calling that dog Raam. People are saying, is that dog's name Raam? How does he know that dog? Little do they know that Bhagat Namdev Ji can see that one inside of that dog as well. There was that day his Bhakti started in taking that pot of milk in front of an idol. But now Bhagat Namdev Ji sees Vaheguru Ji everywhere. Kende Raam, kende tusi sukki roti keve khaunge? How are you going to eat that roti? Kende with it being so dry, let me butter it for you, Raam. Kende makhan ta ladma, kende is prashad de upar, kende tharo, kende if you're not going to have this butter, this roti buttered, kende let me go back. Bhagat Namdev Ji is running back, quickly putting butter on, more roti and running after that dog. Sangat Ji, that's Raam Simar, Raam Simar, Raam Simar Bhai, haath pao kar kaam sab cheet naranjan naal. When every action of yours becomes full of God, that's what it means to have true love in your heart. Then it doesn't matter a tree comes in your way, then it doesn't matter if a dog comes in your way, then it doesn't matter even if a statue comes in your way. Karke hun hirda prem naal bhar gaya. Sangat Ji, because now the heart is filled with love, never mind just human beings, then that love is just spreads out everywhere. And then everybody wants to come and have a piece of that love. So aao Sangat Ji, let's do arth of the rest of the Hukamnama Sahib. Sache Pacha Bhagat Kabir Ji kende ne kende Raam Naam Simran bin Boodte. Those that haven't got the remembrance of God inside of their heart, kende Raam, without it kende bin Boodte. Boodte means they are dobde, they are drowning. Kende adkai means so many people are drowning without the remembrance of God. Rahao. Because if Bhagat Namdev Ji didn't have the remembrance of God, then Sangat Ji, Bhagat Namdev Ji would have run after that dog with a stick and hit that dog. If Bhagat Namdev Ji did not have the remembrance of God inside, then Bhagat Namdev Ji would not have cared of doing that work. And they would not have cared of making sure that they do that work well with devotion. Devotion is Sangat Ji, when that devotion now goes into everything and everywhere. They would not have cared. They would have ripped people off. They would have used material that is cheap. But no. Sangat Ji, once you've got the remembrance of God, then you will do everything in the devotion as if you're serving God. कहने कहंदे रहाओ विश्राम लैके कहंदे इसनू विचारो कहंदे पातशाह जी कहंदे बनता सुत देह ग्रह संपत सुखदाई. But what we're doing is we're trying to sukhdai. We think dai means give, sukh means that eternal happiness. We think we're going to get that eternal happiness. We're trying to find love from other people, from who? Banita, from our partners. Sut, our children. De, from our own body. Grehe, from our houses. Sampat, from all our possessions. We think they are going to give us. No, Sangat Ji, even be your wife, you can't have that expectation. It's expectations that will kill us. That's what brings us misery in life. Instead, we should be concentrating on what can I do? How can I meditate on the naam that my guru has given me to find all of that inside of myself. And then we give it out to them unconditionally. Inma kach nahi tiro. Do you not remember Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, amongst all of these things, inma kach nahi tiro, none of these are yours. Meaning, how are they not ours? Kal avad ai. Kal, death. Avad means that time. I is going to come and all of these are going to be taken away from you. Kende, so how can you say they are yours when they cannot remain with you? Ajamal, Gaj, kende, look how even sinners like Ajamal, kende, you know that one that was known as Papi Ajamal? We went through his Sakhi yesterday, and you can look it up. You can watch either yesterday's Hukamnama, or you can watch Bibi Gurpreet Kaur's video on this. Gaj is talking about that elephant. He was a Bhagat who incarnated as this elephant, and this elephant got stuck because an crocodile, who was again an incarnation from his last janam, and then who came and grabbed the leg of this elephant. Kende, that elephant in that cry, Gaj jo ho sahai, like Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji say, kende Nanak ab ot har Gaj jo ho sahai. That Gaj is talking about an elephant that, remembering Vaheguru Ji, was saved in an instant. Ganika, that prostitute. Ganika actually means prostitute. Ganika wasn't her name, it means prostitute. Ganika again is another Sakhi that I've gone through, one of my Hukamnamas. You can watch that as well. Patit, those that were Patit means that were fallen. They had fallen completely, and they thought they had no hope. They were doing karams, they were doing such actions that were so lowly, so fallen actions. But even then, but even them, uttar par means even they got across this world ocean that is full of attachments and desires. They got par as well. Uttar means to get to the other side of something. Uttar gaye os passe te. How? Raam naam line, because they took the name of God deep inside of their heart. Sukar, kukar, jon parme. Can they learn from all those junna, all those times that you went through as a sukar, as a pig, as a kukar, as a dog? Can they jon parme? Can they, you've been going around, wandering around in those forms of pigs and dogs. Can they to laaj na aayi? Can they still, can they tenu koi sharm nahi aayi? You still have no shame? Laj comes from the word lajja. Lajja means sharam. Can you still got no shame? What does that mean, Sangaji? If you look into that deeper, that means that in our last lives, we've gone through lives of where we've been dogs, and that sits inside of our actual memory bank. So we carry the memory of those lives as well, and those lives should have taught us certain things and skills that we should have brought into this life. They should have taught us lessons of how not to be in this life as a human being, and taking the qualities from them as well. But Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, you've got no shame, that do you really want to go back to being those again? And the other meaning of that is, have you got no shame that when you actually start acting like a dog, when you become so greedy that people don't look at you as a human being anymore, they just see you as a dog? Saying that Halevani Raj Aya, he still isn't fulfilled, he still isn't satisfied with having so much in his life, and he still wants more and more and more, and still is just keep saying, Main mar gaya, main lut gaya, oh my God, I'm dying, I've been looted, I've got nothing, having so much. Can they, have you got no shame? You've been living like a dog all this time. Can they, do you really want to continue living like a dog? Do you really want to continue living like a pig, living in such gand, in such mess, meaning consuming such mess in your life from the things that you're doing, having multiple partners, realizing that brought you no honor and it actually brought you no satisfaction and eternal happiness? Can you got no shame? Why don't you pull yourself out of those lives now, as you're living like that now? Can the people just see you as just a pig? You know, when somebody wastes their life, Sangaji, and somebody's just, you know, when they're really messy, don't care about the environment around them, just sit there and just watching TV all day, they do nothing else better with their life, and people call them, say, can they look, you've become like a pig, can they tu surdi, can they tu juni junaya, ote back e bas khai jana, can they sura mangu, just sitting there, just eating all day long, eating, watching TV, living in a mess, not caring about your environment. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਸੂਰ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਸੂਰਾ ਵਰਗੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ, If these are Punjabi sayings, you're living like a pig. When we say this is a pigsty. So Sangat Ji, this is what Bhagat Kabir Ji mean hai. Raam naam chhad. You've let go of that name of God that is Amrit, that is full of nectar. Kahe bek khai, and you're consuming poison now. The moment you speak bitter to someone, you're consuming poison. The moment you indulge in slander, you're consuming poison. Is that how you want to live your life? Consuming poison? Taj param, let go of this doubt. Karma bid nakhed. What that means is, all the karams that are taught within the Shastras, within certain scriptures, and then you're there. When you get stuck in this mindset, this happens to many people that are trying to practice Sikhi as well within Amritaris. Karma bid. Bid means those karams that are said to be the bid means the do's, that what we're expected to do, and then there's nakhed, the don'ts. So then meaning that we're all in this doubt, saying, oh, can I do this? Can I not? Oh, I can't do that. What does it have to be like? Does it have to be like that? There's no devotion in there. There's no bhakti in there. There's no prem in there. And it's all about, oh, will I get paap if I did that? Will I get struck down if I done it like that? Oh my God, of course we've got a Sangaji. We've got to pronounce Bani correctly. But if we get caught up in, oh, you're not meant, oh, I think I'm doing it wrong, so I shouldn't do it. Oh, and then there's no devotion in anything. I think I got up 2 minutes late today. I've done my nitnem and it went past Amrit. So it's not that we're not going to do these things, but if we just stuck in that, I've done it wrong, have I done it right? I shouldn't do that. I should do this. And then Sangat Ji, Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, so that concept is a little deep. So as our first step, we've got to do things in that discipline. But it's saying if all your head is doing is not even reading the Bani, but it's actually saying, am I saying it right? Am I doing it wrong? Am I doing it right? Kende pache kende taj param karam bid nakhed. Kende, what are you doing stuck in these doubts? Kende Raam naam lehi. Kende, take the name of God for God's sake. Kende, with love, just connect to Vaheguru Ji's name. Kende fe kahan lage Bhagat Kabir Ji, kende Gur Prasad, kende with the kirpa of my Guru Bhagat Kabir Ji, saying with Bhagat Ramanand Ji. Or we can translate this to the kirpa of Vaheguru Ji, kende Gur Prasad, Jan Kabir, the servant Kabir, kende Raam kar snehi. I've fallen in love with God. I've found love within my own self. Falling in love with God means that Snehi means love. When your heart is filled with love, and that love just overspills out to everything, like to that dog, to that tree, to a statue, to don't forget human beings, to everything. Sangat Ji, itni ek benti hai Pravan. So I wasn't planning to talk about Bhagat Namdev Ji, but it's filled my heart with so much happiness speaking about his innocence. And I wasn't prepared for it, so I might have been a little, not flowy, but it's filled my heart with love anyway, thinking about Bhagat Namdev Ji running after that dog, sitting in front of that idol, thinking, come on, why aren't you drinking this? All we can do is, Satguru Ji, yes, I've got to remain in the discipline, and there's things I've got to do, I've got to follow a certain way. But if I haven't even got bhakti and all I'm thinking is, have I done that right? Have I done that wrong? Have I done this right? Have I done that wrong? What about the devotion, the prem, the love? Sangat Ji, let's find true love. True love is not in someone else. True love is inside of us. Let's become love. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.